Alright guys, today's video is a review of all the methods of solving quadratics. So it's going to be a little weird today. We're going to give you guys one problem and we're going to solve it all the different methods to show you that you really get the same answer every time. Okay, so here's our big problem today. Solve for x. You're going to get two answers, right? So the first method is by looking at a graph. Okay, so this is the easiest method. What are the solutions if you're given this graph? And remember, it's just the x-intercepts, which is here, and those are at 2 and 4. So the solutions are x equals 2 and x equals 4. Okay, but sometimes you don't have a graph, so we should probably know another method. So next is factoring. And I'm just going to rewrite the problem first. 2x squared minus 12x plus 16 equals 0. All right, when you solve a problem by factoring, it has to equal 0. And then it looks like we have a GCF of 2. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. And we're left with x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. And now this is a trinomial. So trinomials I factor by guess and check method. So we need an x and an x. And then we need two numbers that multiply to 8, but the inners and the outers add to negative 6. So what are two numbers that multiply to 8 but add to negative 6? And it should be negative 4 and negative 2. But those are just the factors. What are the actual solutions now? Remember, that's when you set them both equal to 0 and solve. So this one becomes positive 4 if you solve it. And this one becomes positive 2 if you solve it. Note that we got the same answers, right? It's just a different method. All right, another method is to do it on the graphing calculator. So another thing to note on this one is it has to equal 0 first. So it has to equal 0 to use the calculator. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and plug that in to y equals. So 2x squared minus 12x plus 16, and then hit graph. And you should see it. If not, your window might just be bad, and I can help you do that in class. Okay, so to solve for the zeros using the calculator, you hit second trace, option number 2. We're finding the zeros. All right, let's get this guy first. So find your blinker and make sure he's a little left of the 0 and hit enter once. And then get him a little right of the 0. But really stay close to it though. Don't go too far. So just a little left and a little right, and now hit enter twice. And there we go. Our first answer is x equals 2. And now we're going to do it all over again for this guy. So second trace, option number 2. Okay, so now get your blinker closer to this 0, but just keep it a little left. See how that's a little bit left of it? Hit enter once. And now hit the right arrow a couple times to keep it close, but a little bit to the right. And hit enter twice. And that, oh my gosh, what a surprise! It's x equals 4. Okay, so again, notice we're getting the same answer. We're just using different methods. Okay, solve by completing the square. So completing the square, I'm going to rewrite it. 2x squared minus 12x plus 16 equals 0. So let's divide everything by 2 first, because we have a GCF of 2. So it's x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Okay, completing the square is not usually people's favorite method, but so completing the square, we got to move the 8 over first. So we're going to have to subtract the 8 over, and now that the 8's gone, we leave a space for our new constant c that we're going to find. Okay, so the 8 moves over, becomes negative 8, leave a space for c. And the formula to find c is b over 2 squared. Okay, so in this problem, b is negative 6. So it's going to be negative 6 over 2 squared. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 squared is 9. So c is going to be 9. So we're going to rewrite the problem. We're going to put 9 in for c, and then don't forget we got to add 9 to the other side too. So it's x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals negative 8 plus 9. Because if you add c to one side, you have to add c to the other side to balance it out. All right, we have just created a perfect square trinomial. And it's going to be x, and this number is going to be the b over 2 part. And the b over 2 part is just negative 3. And then on the right side we add negative 8 plus 9 is 1. And to finish it off, we square root both sides. The squaring and the root cancel. So we bring down the x minus 3. And then whenever you square root, it's plus or minus. And the square root of 1 is 1. And then to finish it off, we add 3 to both sides. And then we should be able to get our 2 answers. So the first answer is positive 1 plus 3, which is 4. And the second answer is negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. And look, same answers as before, 4 and 2. Okay, let's do a review of the quadratic formula. So let's see what our A, B, and C are. Okay, so in our problem here, it looks like A is 2, B is negative 12, and C is 16. All right, so let's plug them in. So the quadratic formula says x equals negative b, but a negative negative becomes positive. Plus or minus, square root. B squared, but when b is negative, it has to be in parentheses. B squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, so 2 times 2. All right, type it in the calculator, once with the plus and once with the minus, and let's get our 2 answers. All right, I'm going to do the plus first. 12 plus square root negative 12 in parentheses squared minus 4 times 2 times 16 all over 2 times 2. First answer is 4. We knew that was coming. So first answer is 4. And then the negative version, guess what it is, guys? Let's see if you're right. We'll make it a minus, and it's 2. So all the methods work. But it's good to know them all because they don't all work for every problem. And then, let's just do one example of using square roots to solve on the next page. And then we're done. So remember these. Remember what you guys have to do first. You can't distribute, so you have to divide by 3 first. And if you divide by 3 first, you're left with x minus 2 squared equals 4. And then, if something squared equals a number, we solve by square rooting both sides. And squaring and the square rooting cancel. You're left with x minus 2 equals plus or minus 2. And then to finish it off, remember you add 2 to both sides. Add 2 to both sides. Okay, so our two answers. Now, this is a different problem, so we're not going to get 2 and 4 again. Well, actually, we will get one of them. Positive 2 plus 2 is 4, and negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So this is a different problem. Answers are 4 and 0. All right, guys, so that was just a recap of all the methods. See you tomorrow.